Oh,
Hello, hello.
hello, Rabbi.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello, Hanya. Hello, Mike. Good to see you. Hello, Mark. Hello, Anat. Hello, Anton. Get myself set up here. Give me 1 second here. All right. Think we are ready. Get started. Welcome everyone again. We'll start off with some charity. If you have some charity, give some charity. And we will share over here a chapter of Psalms for the safety and security of our brothers and sisters in Israel. Um, Why is it not letting me share? Again. Okay. למנצח מזמור לדוד. יענך אדוני ביום צרה, ישגבך שם אלוהי יעקב. ישלח עזרך מקודש ומציון יסדך. יזכור כל מנחותיך ועולתך ידשנה סלה. ייתן לך לבביך וכל עצתך ימלא. Verse 6. נרננה בישועתך ובשם אלוהינו נדגול. ימלא אדוני כל משאלותיך. עתה ידעתי, כי הושיע אדוני משיחו. יענהו משמי קדשו, בגבורות ישע ימינו. אלה ורכב ואלה וסוסים, ואנחנו בשם אדוני אלוהינו נזכיר. המה קרו ונפלו, ואנחנו קמנו ונתעודד. אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ביום קרנו. All right, hopefully everyone had a easy fast. No, just went offline. We all had an easy fast, and let's get into it. Okay, so this week, Torah portion is the Torah portion of Akev, which Akev means a heel, and it also means because. And we'll learn about the significance of a heel and what does that have to do with this week's Torah portion. So let's get started. Mark, you want to start? Okay, so this is from Deuteronomy, this week's Torah portion.
And it will be because you will heed these ordinances and keep them and perform them. Your Hashem, your God, will keep the covenant and the kindness that he promised to your forefathers. He will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your soil, your grain, your wine, and your oil, the offspring of your cattle, and the choice of your flocks in the land which he promised to your forefathers to give you.
Okay, so right when we listen to Hashem, Hashem will keep his promise and bless us with all these tremendous blessings that we read over here. Let's continue the Rebbe analyzing these verses.
2 tracks, merit or kindness. There are two ways that divine blessing can be bestowed from above. A person receives blessing because they've earned it through proper conduct. B, a person receives blessing even though they are undeserving, solely because of Hashem's kindness. This was the case during the 26 generations before the giving of the Torah, when humanity was sustained purely through Hashem's kindness.
So there's this concept of receiving, obviously, when we deserve it, we receive stuff. But there's also a concept that we receive it not because we deserve it, but because Hashem's kindness, Hashem gives it to us. And it brings over here the 26 generations before the giving of the Torah. Let's read from the source, from the Talmud.
Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi said, the 26 verses of praise correspond to the 26 generations preceding the giving of the Torah, who were sustained by Hashem's kindness. Even Israel Steinsalt's commentary.
Okay, so I just want to say the 26 verses of praise we say in the Shabbat prayers. It's also one of the Psalms. It says Hodu LaHashem. We say praise Hashem 26 lines, and each one of them is corresponding to the kindness that Hashem sustains the 26 generations. Okay.
What do the 26 instances of give thanks in this Psalm 136, correspond to? They correspond to the 26 generations that Hashem created in his world before Torah was given.
No. Is it missing again? Looks like it might be missing. Okay. So good. Thank you, Mark. I'll finish up over here. There were 10 generations from Adam to Noach, 10 generations from Noach to Abraham, and another 6 generations until Moses and the giving of the Torah. What are the 6 generations? Isaac, Jacob, Levi, Kahas, Amram, and Moshe. Okay, so that's altogether 26 generations. Since these generations did not study Torah or observe its mitzvot, by what merit were they sustained? Because it says that the world is sustained the merit of the study of Torah mitzvahs. But those 26 generations didn't study Torah mitzvahs. They didn't have it, Torah mitzvahs. So how were they sustained? So Hashem sustained them solely through his kindness, even though they were not deserving of it, right? So it's a concept of, sometimes someone earns a paycheck, right? And they work hard for you, and you as the owner of the company gives them a paycheck. And sometimes someone comes in, they need charity, and they don't deserve it, and they didn't work for you. Nonetheless, you give them a paycheck, you give them a nice amount of money. That's 2 different ways of giving money, and it's also 2 different ways that Hashem bestows blessings on people. Sometimes we deserve it, and sometimes it's a concept. Not always, right? When you don't deserve it, you can't demand it. So we'd much rather, human beings would much rather earn a salary than going around collecting charity that they don't deserve, because you earn a salary, you know you're getting it. When you're collecting charity, people have to be kind to you. But anyways, there's this concept, 2 different ways of giving. Okay? Hanya, if you want to continue. Similarly,
the blessings bestowed upon the Jewish people are granted by virtue of the covenant Hashem made with the patriarchs and the oath he swore. Because of the covenant, the Jewish people are to receive every good thing, even when Hashem forbid, they are not deserving. This can be compared to 2 devoted friends who make a covenant with one another. Its purpose is that if over time circumstances arise that would ordinarily weaken or even destroy their love will remain unchanged.
Okay, thank you, Anya. Right? So this is Hashem promised our forefathers that he will take care of us, right? He made a covenant that even if we don't deserve it, he will still take care of us. And Rebbe says just like 2 friends that make a covenant. What's the covenant? That even if at times one side will not be so loyal to the other side. A covenant means forever we'll stay friends. Or you see in the Torah, different people make covenants between them and their kids, right? That even if, let's say, my kids aren't good to you, your kids, the covenant stays for generations, however long you do it for. Then I'll continue taking care of you. I'll continue treating you like family. I'll continue treating you good, et cetera, right? So this concept exists, right? We have a covenant. Hashem made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that he will take care of us. He will love us forever and ever, regardless of what we do, right? Which is seemingly more like the second category of reward, right? Not reward that we earn it, reward because he made the covenant. Then not. If you want to continue.
Take, for example, two friends who make a pact that their love will never cease. If that which their love is dependent on was eternal, a pact would be unnecessary. It is only because they fear that if that which their friendship was dependent on, that things disappear, then so will their love, and that some external force would disrupt it. That they make a pact that their love shall be everlasting.
Right. So just to summarize, right, if you were never worried that the reason why you love each other will disappear, then you don't have to make a pact. You don't have to make a covenant. You love each other, right? The reason why you make a pact, you make a covenant is because it might disappear, right? Something else might come up. There might be external force or whatever else it is. And a pact, a covenant makes it that no matter what, our love will stay forever. Like it says David and Jonathan, David and Yonasan, they made a pact that they'll stay friends forever. And even though later Jonathan's father hated David, wanted to kill David, and the reason was because David was going to become the next king, which would take away the kingship from Jonathan. So there's a reason, it was like a personal threat against Jonathan. Nonetheless, they stayed friends forever because they made a pact. And that's the power of a covenant, that forever and ever we stayed friends. Okay, let's continue. Oh, it's missing again. No, it's not. It's not. Go ahead.
I'm supposed to go on?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. In other words, because they are forging such a strong connection, one that is beyond reason, then even if reason dictates that the love should cease because of their pact, their love will endure. In a sense, they have become one flesh. Just as self-love is enduring, so is their bond.
Right? And this type of love and connection and covenant is what Hashem promised our forefathers, that he will take care of us and bless us forever. Please continue.
The same applies to an oath, which is an extremely strong commitment to fulfill that has been promised. An oath means that even if numerous obstacles arise and there are compelling reasons not to carry it out, the person will nevertheless fulfill it, disregarding all of those obstacles.
Okay.
This raises a question. The promise that Hashem will keep the covenant and the kindness that he promised would seemingly apply under all circumstances. Why then does the Torah make it dependent on if you will heed? Conversely, when the condition of if you will heed is fulfilled, when the Jewish people observe even those seemingly minor mitzvot that people tend to treat lightly, they already deserve reward on their own merits. Why then is there any need for the covenant, for God's kindness, and for the oath?
There's like a double-sided question. On the one hand, since there's a covenant between Hashem and the forefathers that he's going to take care of us, then why do we need to work? Why does it say that we need to work? It says if you will work, then I'll reward you. We learned that there's two types of rewards. There's reward for work, and there's a reward just because I'm a kind guy. I'm rewarding you for no reason, right? Hashem promised our forefathers that he's going to reward us. That means it's a covenant. There's no need for any work. Hashem owes us to take care of us. And if for whatever reason we do need to work, and that's why we deserve the reward, then what do we need the covenant for? Well, who cares if Hashem promised the forefathers or not? Regardless, he owes us because we worked hard, right? It's like if I promise my good friend I'm going to take care of his kids, right? So I turn to his kids and I say, if you guys work very hard in my field or my company, I'll pay you. They work hard in my company. What does that have to do with my guarantee to their parents? And if they, and if they don't work hard, then I should still get it. They should still get it because I promised their parents. So what exactly is going on okay? Okay. Anton, if you want to continue. If anyone has any questions, so this is the question, right? So we're going to go to the answer, but this is the question that the Rebbe poses that seemingly there's no, the verse says that when you will work hard, I will keep my covenant. Working hard and keeping covenant is not really related. A covenant means even if you don't work hard. If you work hard, you don't need a covenant. Okay. All right, so let me turn the page here. Solution to the bread of shame.
Hashem wants to bestow the greatest possible good. The explanation is as follows. A gift a person did not work for is referred to in the Talmud as bread of shame, meaning something given freely, without being earned. Hashem desires to give the Jewish people the highest and most complete good. Therefore, he ordained that every blessing, even those that come from a level beyond the natural spiritual order, a level that human effort alone could never reach, should nevertheless come specifically through a person's efforts. Moreover, those efforts should reflect in some measure the nature of blessings being received.
Okay. So we all know the difference between when you get something for free or you get something that you work hard for, right? When you work hard for something, you treasure it. Take a Lego, right? If you worked hard on a Lego, you spent a few hours building the Lego, you're going to be very protective over the Lego, at least for a little bit, right? You're going to take care of it, right? But if someone, you go to some fair and someone gives you a built Lego, it's just a toy. Who cares about a toy? You break it. But this is true even for very big stuff, right? If someone lands on you, right? We've mentioned this many times in our classes, but if someone lands on you a lottery ticket and you win the lottery of $5 million, hopefully all of you should win, right? Statistics are that you blow it very quickly. Whereas if you work hard and you save and you come up with $5 million, those $5 million will last you for a lifetime. Because free money, free earned stuff is shame. You're not proud of it. You don't like it. It's right. Therefore, Hashem didn't want us to live life that he just bestows us blessings, even though technically we deserve, like he should, but that's not for our ultimate good. We wouldn't have a successful, happy life if he just bestowed us with blessings without working for it. Therefore, for our own good, because Hashem said, I will take care of them, right? Therefore, I'm forcing, Hashem says, you have to work hard for your blessings. Because that's ultimately the blessing. That's ultimately the gift. Back to my analogy that I said, about if I promise my friend I'll take care of his child, and then I make him work hard. I make him work hard, not because I don't want to give him the money without working hard. Because in order for him to grow up to be a decent human being, he has to have a job. He has to work. If he just sits and plays video games all day and gets money, he's going to be he'll be a lowlife. He'll be a piece of nothing. That's not what I want to do to my friend's child, right? And that's why Hashem makes us work hard. And that's what it says. When we work hard, then we will get the blessings that he promised our forefathers. And the Rebbe adds a line, which is that, moreover, those efforts should reflect in some measure the nature of the blessings being received. And we'll talk about that more later, that it's not just any work. Because over here, we're actually talking about a very big blessing. Hashem is giving us the blessing like from a covenant, which is a very deep, big blessing. The work can't just be simple work. It has to be deeper work, but we'll get into that soon. Okay? So let's continue, Anton.
It comes through effort. For this reason, effort is required even to receive even the blessings that come because of the covenant and the kindness that he promised to your forefathers. Thus, when you heed, we receive not only the reward proportionate to our efforts, but unlimited blessing. granted through the covenant and the kindness that he promised to our forefathers.
So this is the catch. You work in my company, right? You work a 48-hour work week, right? So a good salary, is $100,000 for the year. I'm giving you $1.2 million for the year. For a 48-hour work week, you don't deserve $1.2 million. But I made a covenant with your dad. So I'm going to give you, it's a covenant salary. It's not, you didn't earn this salary. This is a salary that I promised your dad I'm going to give you. But only if you work hard for it. Because if you don't work hard for it, you're not going to appreciate it. I'm not rewarding you. I'm not helping you. So you have over here both things. On the one hand, you have to work hard. On the other hand, what are you getting? You're not getting reward for your work. You're getting much, much higher reward than your work because the reward itself is the covenant. Nonetheless, in order to get that covenant reward, you have to work hard. Same thing as with Hashem promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will reward us. He'll take care of us with tremendous high rewards. But in order to get those rewards, we have to work hard. Otherwise, we wouldn't appreciate it. Otherwise, it would be counterproductive. It would be self-destructive, the rewards that Hashem gave us. In 1976, the Rebbe spoke a lot about 50 years ago, right? So, sorry, 60 years ago.
50.
50, okay. I'm getting confusing the 76 with the 86 that were 5786. Yeah. Anyways, 50 years ago, the Rebbe spoke then about a verse that says that which means out of the mouths of babies and sucklings you have established strength. Lahashbis oyev umisnakim lashbit oyev umitnakem, to destroy your enemy and the avenger. The Rebbe spoke then a lot, with stuff going on in Israel and everything else, that the Jews need to be strong, and the strength of Jews is through the children. What comes out of the mouth of the children protects the Jewish people around the world. And the Rebbe then taught 12 foundational passages, that he taught them and he explained to them how these are fundamentals of Judaism. And he wanted that all the children should memorize them by heart. And that should be sort of on the tongue. That should be the education of the children based on these 12 passages. And they should talk about them, know them by heart, that this merit of studying Torah will protect the Jewish people. Later in 1980, the Rebbe started an army called Tzivot Hashem, the Army of Hashem. And in order to be part of the army, you have to be a child up until the age of 13. In the Rebbe's army, over 13, you retired. The Rebbe's army was children that were growing up with the energy, with the strength, teaching the words of Torah and getting inspired from the words of Torah. So one of the passages that the Rebbe taught then was from the Talmud. And let's read it inside. Let you finish, Anton.
Mm-hmm. Rabbi Yitzhak said, "If someone tells you, I have tried, but I have not succeeded, I do not believe them. I have not tried, but I have succeeded, don't believe them. I have tried and I have succeeded, believe them."
The Rebbe, spoke about this many, many times. It's a very powerful teaching from the Talmud, right? So many times, we'll talk about children, but really each one of us say the same thing. I tried, I couldn't do it. Baloney. You didn't try. If you put yourself to something, you'll succeed, right? So this I can't do it doesn't exist, right? What about if someone says, I didn't even work hard, I succeeded? Also, you didn't succeed, right? If someone didn't work hard and they made $1 million, they wasted their time, because if they would have worked hard, they could have made $2 million. If you got one master's degree and you didn't work hard, then you wasted your time. You could have made 2 master's degrees. For the guy that worked hard and got a master's degree, that's amazing, right? But for you didn't succeed. Yeah, you got a master's degree, but life's about achieving. Life's about using our potential. And finally, the third passage is, I've tried and I've succeeded, believe them. In other words, when you work hard and you succeed, that's a success. And this is true in our relationship with Hashem, that only when we work hard can we achieve true success, can we appreciate the blessings that Hashem gives us. As they say, no pain, no gain, right? when we put in effort is hard, right? Effort is hard. It's much easier to lay in bed and watch TV for some people. Some people can't handle it, but anyways, but by the way, if you're naturally a hustler, so then you have to achieve much more to be successful, right? Because that's your capacity. It's not, we don't measure capacity based on a parameter. It's each person based on the effort that they need to put in. And that's why Hashem said, when you listen to the mitzvahs, to the Torah, you do the commandments, the mitzvot, that's when you will be rewarded. Okay? So far we asked the question that the verse says that if you will listen, then Hashem will fulfill the covenant and reward us. We asked, seemingly Hashem should fulfill the covenant regardless. And we explained that fulfilling the covenant regardless would be counterproductive. We wouldn't appreciate it. And the only way we could appreciate it is when and if we work hard for it. And therefore Hashem encourages us to work hard, helps us work hard, tells us we have to work hard. But when we work hard, we succeed far beyond what we are working hard in. We are able to succeed, right? But now, what type of service says you have to work hard? What type of working hard? Is it just any mitzvah that you do, any commandment that you do, Shabbat, Passover, Rosh Hashanah, hearing the shofar, right? Or is there a specific element in the commandments that we have to do in order to be accomplished, in order to succeed and receive the blessings from Hashem, from the covenant that Hashem promises? So, Mike, if you want to continue.
Okay.
Heads or heels?
The bright side of darkness. To understand this, we must first appreciate the unique quality of serving Hashem during exile, as compared to serving him when the temple stood. When we observe mitzvah while godliness is openly revealed and our services filled with spiritual pleasure, our personal sense of self is still part of that service. As a result, our selfishness before Hashem is not fully expressed.
Okay, it's a mistake here. No, it's not a mistake. Okay, fine. Yeah. Let's continue. By contrast.
Okay, by contrast, when you observe mitzvah in a time of spiritual darkness, our own feelings and sense of self are not in the picture. It is precisely then that our absolute and selfless devotion to Hashem is expressed.
Okay. So a little bit counterintuitive, paradoxical. When do we serve Hashem more complete? So you look at the Torah, you look at history. Obviously, when the temple stood, you were able to serve Hashem much more complete. First of all, there's 613 commandments. There's 248 positive commandments. Out of the 248 positive commandments, only 87 of them are we able to fulfill today. The rest of them we cannot fulfill today because they have to do with the temple. There's no temple, so we can't do them. So when are you able to be a full Jew? In the times of the temple. Nonetheless, from a mystical perspective, from a deeper perspective, it's specifically now that we're able to serve Hashem in a complete way. Because what does it mean, serving Hashem? Serving Hashem means devotion, commitment to Hashem for the sake of Hashem. That I'm totally committed to Hashem. I found Hashem. I found my connection. I found that this is the ultimate good. This is the ultimate purpose. And I serve it, Hashem, completely, without any ulterior motives. Now, during the time of the temple, it was very hard to serve Hashem without any ulterior motives because it was enjoyable to serve Hashem. That was like the in thing to do. So sort of, you wanted to do it. It's like, I want to do it. This is what makes me happy. So even though that's good, right? But at the same time, you're missing a certain selflessness in the devotion to Hashem because yourself is enjoying it. So you're sort of doing it for yourself. This is my hobby. This, sometimes people will tell me, Rabbi, I enjoy giving charity. Okay, that's good. Okay, it's good to enjoy giving charity, but ultimately, you want to reach a level or try to reach a level where you're giving charity even when you don't enjoy it, right? How do you do that? Well, you could give a little bit more than what you're comfortable giving, where you're not enjoying it anymore because it's more than you can give. You could also give it, let's say you're giving it to a good organization. In Nanaimo, we don't have very many Jewish organizations. But in the big city, there's hundreds and thousands of Jewish organizations. I'm sure some of you connected to Jewish. I know some of you connected to other Jewish organizations. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is when you know a lot of Jewish organizations, there's some organizations that do good work, but you don't get along with their director, right? It's natural things. We don't get along with everybody. So I would rather give charity to an organization that I get along with the director than an organization I don't get along with because it's more enjoyable, right? But that's where the selflessness comes in. Do the mitzvah for the sake of the mitzvah. Now, that doesn't mean you have to look specifically, but the point is that in our devotion to Hashem, it reaches a whole new level when we do it in a selfless way. Back to our point, during the times of the temple, you were able to feel self-fulfilled when you're doing a mitzvah. You did a mitzvah, you came to the temple, the awesome glory of the temple. It felt like you felt like $1 million when you brought a sacrifice to the temple. You were part of the Jewish people. Today, in exile, you do a mitzvah and you don't feel so good about it. You don't see any godly revelation when you do a mitzvah. Sometimes you even feel a little persecuted when you do a mitzvah. You walk down the street with a kippah, maybe people make fun of you or say something to you. You eat kosher, it hurts your wallet. You don't feel any glorified feeling. You feel like you have a little less money in your wallet. There isn't that feeling that we had in the times of the temple where godliness was revealed. So today, why are you doing a mitzvah? Not for self-fulfillment. You're doing it purely for the sake of Hashem. Which is, even though we can't do as much, it's a much deeper connection. It's a much higher level because we're serving Hashem completely only for the sake of Him. Because no other explanation, no other reason why I'm doing the mitzvah. It's not like I'm fitting into a cool group. Today, the Jews are hated, so we're not a cool group, right? If you're doing a mitzvah, it's because we feel that this is the truth, this is what Hashem wants, and this is what I have to do. Continue, please, Mike.
Yep. The special quality of the Heel mitzvah. Ultimately, every spiritual quality must find expression in practical action. The advantage represented by the Heel is expressed through observing the seemingly minor mitzvah that people tend to trample underfoot. When our divine service is connected to our sense of self, we naturally distinguish between different mitzvah, those associated with the head, the mitzvah in which a higher spiritual light is perceived, appear more important, and we devote greater care to them than to the mitzvah associated with the heel. But when mitzvah are observed out of simple acceptance of Hashem's authority because they are His commands, then all mitzvahs are fulfilled in the same way. From the perspective of a mitzvah as an expression of Hashem's will, there is no difference between the lightest mitzvah and the most stringent one.
Right. There are two types of mitzvah. There's a mitzvah of hearing shofar on Rosh Hashanah. It's a very special mitzvah. It's the New Year. We hear the ram's horn being blown. We do it in synagogue. We eat matzah on Passover. It's another beautiful mitzvah. We give charity. It's another beautiful mitzvah. These are mitzvahs that we understand. We appreciate them. They're beautiful. Then there are mitzvahs that we cringe maybe even about the mitzvah. They're a little bit odd. They're a bit strange. Certain customs that the Jews have for generations, but it just doesn't feel right. So naturally, where am I going to be more passionate? The mitzvahs that I understand, I'm going to be more passionate. The mitzvahs that I don't understand, I'm going to be less passionate. So I'm trying to think of an example of a mitzvah that there's a mitzvah that you're not allowed to wear wool and linen, right? So in the big cities, not Vancouver. Vancouver isn't big enough for that, but like in Montreal, Toronto, New York, LA, so they have special people that when you buy a suit made out of wool, they check certain parts of the jacket to see if there's any wool and linen, because sometimes in the collar of a wool suit they'll put in some linen. So they take it a special person to check, right? This is a come on, like what's the difference? Is a couple of threads of linen in my suit, like whatever, God will have to forgive me, right? But of course, I can eat matzah on Passover. That makes sense. But some of the mitzvahs that we're supposed to, as Jews, we're supposed to tie we're supposed to tie our left shoe first and then our right shoe. Okay, fine, whatever. Like, I'm gonna tie my shoe and get out of the house. Does it really make a difference which shoe I tie first? But here's the difference in the approach. Why am I doing a mitzvah? Am I doing it because I want to be successful? I want to appreciate. I appreciate the intelligence and the how beautiful intellectual Judaism is, and I want to be part of that. So I'm going to do it, right? But it's all about me. Or am I doing it because Hashem told me to do it? This is a question of even the most logical mitzvahs like tikkun olam, fixing the world, being kind to your neighbor, which makes sense. Why am I doing it? Am I doing it because it makes me feel good? Or am I doing it because this is what Hashem commanded me? How do I know? How do I know if someone is doing a mitzvah for the sake of Hashem or for the sake of themselves because they enjoy it? It expresses itself in the heel mitzvahs. So the name of the parsha is Akev. Akev means because you will listen to the mitzvah that Hashem commanded you, you will get all the blessings. But the word Akev, which means because, also means heel, which means to say, what type of mitzvahs? The mitzvahs that people trample on with their heels. They throw them down. They say, whatever, this is not an important mitzvah. This is not an important mitzvah. This is not an important custom. A little bit of a weird custom. It's a strange custom. I'm not going to do this custom. But again, why are you doing the mitzvah? If you're doing it for yourself, then I hear you. You don't appreciate this mitzvah. This mitzvah doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel a bit strange. But if you're doing it for the sake of Hashem, then what's the difference? Then what's the difference what type of mitzvah it is? Any mitzvah that Hashem wants you to do, you do. When you're in a relationship, you know that sometimes your person you're in a relationship asks you to do something that makes a lot of sense. And you're happy to do it. Sometimes the person in your relationship asks you to do something that absolutely makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's annoying, it's pointless, it's whatever else it is. And many times you tell this person, like, sorry, But here expresses, are you truly in a deep relationship with that person or not? If you're in a truly deep relationship, then you're there for that person. And if you're there for that person, it's not about whether you understand or you appreciate what that person is doing or it makes sense to you. If it makes sense to that person, then you'll do it. If you're in a relationship because, I'm gaining from the relationship, then if it's something you're not gaining from, you're not going to be interested in doing. But if you're in a relationship, a true relationship, which is a true unity between two people, then you're happy to do whatever it is for that person, regardless of whether you understand or not, because you're in a relationship with that person. And that's actually where it expresses the true relationship. When we do a mitzvah for Hashem that doesn't make sense to us, that means we're in a relationship with Hashem. Why? Because it doesn't make sense to us, but who cares? We're not in the relationship for making sense. We're not in it to get something. We're in it to be in the relationship. So you're in it to get to be in the relationship, then whatever Hashem wants, it makes that makes me happy. Another time I'm doing it to make because I love Hashem. So whatever Hashem wants, it makes no difference to me if I enjoy it more or I enjoy it less. This is not about me. This is about the relationship. That expresses itself in those simple mitzvahs, in those mitzvahs that people trample on, the mitzvahs people ignore, the customs that seem a bit strange. When we do them, the only reason why we're doing it is because Hashem said. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, right? That mitzvah is what we're talking about over here. That mitzvah is the mitzvah. We'll read it inside in a minute, but that awakens in Hashem, or that calls for that high level of reward, the reward of a covenant, which is not just a regular salary, not just a regular reward, but a reward of a covenant, which is a huge, huge reward. That reward is only earned when we've put ourselves totally on the line, when we're in a complete relationship. And that complete relationship, where does it express itself? In those mitzvahs that seem petty, seem simple, seem not important. Mike, if you want to continue.
Yep.
The heel and the covenant.
The heel and the covenant. This explains the connection between "and it shall come to pass. If you will heed, and he will keep the covenant and the kindness that he promised to our forefathers." The word elkev, if you will heed, also means heel and refers to serving Hashem with simple subservience. It is specifically through serving Hashem with complete acceptance, if you will heed without being motivated by our intellect or sense of self, that we reach the revelation of Hashem's very existence.
Very essence.
Essence, sorry. This is why the Torah says, "And it shall come to pass, if you will heed," followed by, "he will keep the covenant and the kindness that he promised." Through serving Hashem in the manner of the heel, we become a vessel capable of receiving the revelation of his essence.
When we do any mitzvah, right, even if we're doing it for ourselves, we act in a kind way, in a Jewish way, in a holy way, we get rewarded from Hashem. But that's sort of a lower level of reward. In order to get the reward that we're talking about over here, which is the covenant reward, which we said we deserve it anyways, but we need to be a vessel to be able to receive it. We need to be, if I give you, if you take a regular peasant, okay, and put him in the Parliament building in Ottawa, right? He's going to feel so out of place, so uncomfortable. So you give him a reward, but he won't know how to handle the reward because it's so not him. He doesn't know that lifestyle. He knows the lifestyle of cows, of chickens. He knows how to clean the horse manure. That's what he knows. He doesn't know how to behave around prominent official and foreign delegation. He doesn't understand those whole things. It's torture. In order to be a vessel for Hashem's great blessing that he promised our forefathers, which is part of his essence. In other words, this is not just a little reward measure for measure. You work 10 hours, I'll give you $200. This is the reward is a deep relationship between us and Hashem. For that, we have to nullify ourselves to Hashem. We have to get rid of our ego. We have to join Hashem. We have to become part of Hashem. We have to let go of our worldview and join Hashem's worldview. When we do that, we nullify, we get rid of our pettiness, and we raise ourselves to a higher level. When we raise ourselves to a higher level, we're able to be in a relationship with Hashem. So much of being in a healthy relationship is about being humble. It's about nullifying yourself, because when you come into a relationship and each person has all their things that they want, the relationship doesn't usually end too well, right? It's about submitting yourself to the other person, becoming part of the other person, seeing the bigger picture of life together, not your own needs. When we're able to submit ourselves to Hashem, understand that, my relationship to Hashem is not just that I should have a healthier life or a better life. There's something much greater. I'm part of Hashem's world, right? I could transform the world, elevating myself from just my petty life to a much bigger life, right? When you do that, you let go of your ego, your own needs. So that, not your own needs, stuff to take care of yourself. That's not what we're saying. But the point is, that's not your focus, right? And you're part of something much greater. When you do that, Hashem's able to bestow on you the blessings, the deepest blessings of the covenant that he promised to give to us. Okay? See what we're holding here. Okay. So this is that. Let's continue reading. Mark, if you want to continue reading. The age of the hill. The age or the hill. No, the age of the hill. Okay.
There are several explanations of the verse, and it shall come to pass if you will heed. A, the explanation we have just discussed, heal, refers to a particular category of mitzvah, the seemingly minor mitzvah that people tend to trample underfoot. Accordingly, the verse means that these mitzvah too need to be observed.
Like that's what we were discussing until now.
B, heal refers to the era known as the footsteps of the Mashiach, the final period before Mashiach's arrival. According to this interpretation, the verse means that during that era, you will certainly listen, as promised in the portion of Nitzvayim, where the Torah says that before the coming of Moshiach, you will return to the Lord your God. Since both explanations apply to the same verse, and in fact to the very same word, it follows that they are interconnected. In light of everything discussed above, the relationship between these two interpretations becomes clear.
Okay. What do we just say? So the second interpretation of the verse is that v'haya akev, it will be because you will listen. Again, the word akev, which means heal. So heal means that you'll do the mitzvahs that people trample on, those simple mitzvahs, but heal also means to be an era in time. The era that we're in is like the heel, because if you make time like a body, right? So let's say the giving of the Torah was the head, and the next bunch of generations were coming lower and lower, and now we're at the bottom of building this whole era of time, which will lead into the Messianic era. So we're called in the time of the heel, the lowest time, the bottom. We're all the way at the bottom. We're all the way almost at the finish line, right? And what the verse is saying is that during this time of the heel time, we will definitely start listening. What's it saying? So based on what we said, it all makes sense. When is the time that the Jews are most connected to Hashem? During the exile time, which is our time now, right? During the time of the temple, the Jews were connected to Hashem, but it was a little bit more self-centered. They were connected because that was the best industry to be part of. Today, why are we connected to Hashem? We're connected to Hashem from a much deeper place. We're connected to Hashem because we feel that's real. We feel there's no other choice. We feel there's no other choice because if there was another choice, we would choose that other choice because Jews are persecuted. Let's face it, right? And this is not about, be optimistic, be positive. Of course, we have to do all those things. But why be optimistic and positive? Just don't be a Jew. Like, instead of being optimistic and positive and know that one day October 7th, came and then we have to fight it and deal with it, just don't be a Jew. And you're done with all the problems. We have no explanation. What are you gaining from it? You have no fame, you have no gain, you have no money. What are you gaining from being Jewish? Just leave it behind and continue living a good life. Over here comes a very, very deep part of us, right? That's expressed to the depth of our soul, of our neshama, which expresses itself in the fact that we do the mitzvahs, even the simple mitzvahs, because we're not doing it for personal gain. If we did it for personal gain, we would only do the sophisticated mitzvahs. But we're not doing it for personal gain. We're doing it because we have no other choice. We see no other path besides a relationship with Hashem, which is a very deep part of us, which in turn turns to a deep part of Hashem, which is only revealed during the time of exile, which is the lowest part of the buildup, right? We're at the lowest part. We're not sophisticated. We don't have revelation of godliness like the Jews in the temple did. They were holier than us. They were smarter than us. They knew much more about Hashem than we know. But it's specifically in our generation where the relationship is so raw, so real, comes from so deep what's inside of us, that we deserve the greatest blessings from Hashem, which is ultimately the relationship. And therefore, our generation of exile will be the one to usher in the Messianic era. The Jews in the temple couldn't usher in the Messianic era, even though they were holier than us, even though they knew more than us, they knew more Torah study than us, and they did the mitzvahs better than us, right? But there was selfishness over there. Whereas we have no selfishness. We have no personal gain in it. The only personal gain is that this is what Hashem wants. So therefore, the next time you feel disheartened that you're not enjoying a mitzvah, right? And sometimes, I don't enjoy this mitzvah, I'm not going to do it. It's specifically the mitzvah that you don't enjoy that you should do. Because that's the mitzvah that expresses the deep relationship that we're all trying to achieve with Hashem. And we're able to do it. That shows that we've reached the level of a true, deep relationship with Hashem. May we all strengthen our relationship, get a deeper relationship, and may Hashem keep his promises. She definitely does to make this covenant, to give us the covenant, to be in a relationship with us, and ultimately usher in the Messianic era, which then, because we worked so hard now, we'll be able to reap the fruits of our labor, see the relationship of Hashem, feel the glory of Hashem in the most powerful way. Thank you for joining. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to share. Otherwise, everyone should have a wonderful night. And as they say, a Shavua Tov. Next week, I will be at a conference in Vancouver, so I will not be giving a class next week. So we'll do it the week afterwards.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Take care.